start from scratch. We have to build plans. We have to execute. We have to take actions. So that is actually law of attraction.
Why are we here? What are we doing here? What's our mission whilst we're here? What are the destinations that we're looking forward to get to?
That there are some things that are out of our control, but there are some things that are in our control. So many young people, they are stuck in the life. You said as per the situations in the COVID 2020, 2019. After the 2020, the scenario has changed. The job market, the business market has shifted like dramatically. What are you doing in your prime age? What you should be actually doing in your prime age? What if you are getting stuck in your career? Guys, today we will discuss these topics with one of the most energetic persons I have seen in my life. That is Mr. Kyle Spyrides. This Australian guy will tell you how he achieved his dreams through his hard work, his dedication, actually understanding the meaning of the law of attraction, and by choosing the right mentors in his life. Kindly stay tuned, guys. I'm sure you will get much value out of it. Stay tuned. Mr. Kyle Spirits, welcome to Youth Expedition. The author of Decide Your Destiny. It's great to have
Thank,
you here.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. Really appreciate it. I'm glad to be on the Youth Expedition podcast.
So, what is your definition for destiny? First of all, let me ask you what you mean by destiny. That is a general term, destiny, okay. But according to you, what
Yeah.
is your perspective? I would like to hear that.
So destiny for me, it's basically the big questions: why are we here? What are we doing here? What's our mission whilst we're here? What are the destinations that we're looking forward to get to? And deciding your destiny, it sounds like a big kind of objective. However, it's broken down into every single day. Every single day, what are the steps you're taking? Think of climbing Mount Everest. You got to
Yeah,
first get to base camp. You've got to step by step, and all the layers that go into that. Who are your support systems? Have you got your equipment? Have you grown as a person? Do you have enough strength within you, physically, spiritually, mentally? And so that's what goes into your destiny. So you are shaping and changing who you are to be able to pull that destiny towards you.
excellent. Actually, I heard about the law of attraction, and some people like take it like literally. For example, if we think about something, if we think about, for example, let's say a Ferrari, all right. So if we
Yes.
think daily about a Ferrari, let's say a year after 2 years, some people think that okay, if we think about something constantly, consistently, we will get that thing. But that is not a scientific or a physical base that we have in this case. All right. So as you said, that for achieving anything, we have to dig down, we have to start from scratch, we have to build plans, we have to execute, we have to take actions. Like that. So that is actually law of attraction. So that is related to your what you said destiny, if I'm not wrong.
Exactly. And to bring it all together, it comes down to your behavior. Your behavior is going to attract what you're going to get in your life. Your attitude. Have you ever
Yeah,
met someone who complains about everything in their life, and seemingly they have this, bad luck, or they have these
yeah,
bad things that happen to them, and that is the attraction. They're like choosing. If you think of currents in an ocean, they're choosing a current that goes maybe lower, deeper in the ocean, and they're choosing to have those experiences in life because they're talking about them. They're like a magnet pulling themselves
yeah.
towards it. So you are the law of attraction, with every thought, every spoken word. I'm not good enough. I'm not all those. It's great.
Mm.
You've sold it to yourself. You're not good enough, and so that's that. All those layers add to what you actually end up creating in your life.
Also, I heard that when people write books, I actually experienced it. When people write books, they actually write their own biography in that book as well. For example, they express their life, they express their emotions. So I would like to hear from you, what is your background and what is the purpose for writing this book?
Great question. And as I was going out yesterday, I was listening to another book, and it kind of made me realize again why I wrote the book. Because sometimes you find yourself in a certain situation in life, and you backtrack and going, "How did I get here? How did I become so mad scientist like obsessed with getting this project out, waking up at 4 a.m., 3 a.m., writing as much as I could, doing the audiobook. Why am I so uh, basically possessed by this goal?" And I think what it was in the year 2020, um, and basically having to be locked away and kind
Hmm.
of confront myself. Like when you're in that, you have to be with yourself, everything that you've come through, everything that you are still holding on to, your traumas, everything that you're carrying, all your thoughts. But now there's this moment of steadiness, there's this moment of
Hmm.
you know actually sitting with all of that Kyle Spyrides, that person that I've created and I've become. And I was into photography and videography, and I was listening to a channel, and it was about these photographers they were on an island, and they were kind of like an island off America, and they were locked away there, and they were doing daily updates of the pandemic,
Yeah.
and they were terrified, and they were like all this sort of stuff. So then I was just experiencing this anxiety and this depression, all sorts of stuff. And then I went out my front door, and I'd never seen more people walking their dogs, never seen more people sitting in parks, never seen more people outside enjoying this planet that we have and engaging with this planet. And so I was like, wow, there's this world that we see that's on this TV box, you know,
Yeah.
that basically manipulates our thoughts and and basically change, causes us to have an opinion on everything. And then there's this world outside, and what are we interpreting? And so for me, that kind of hit me. And then I went and I heard a Stoic quote by Epictetus, and it said, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse." And I broke down in tears because it released all the stresses and pressures of, in 2020 we're basically told the world was going to blow up. Basically
Yeah.
it was just going to go all bad and everything, and economically everything, like, so that there was no positive way out, or there was no light at the end of the tunnel. So that quote, "You are a little soul carrying around a corpse," just released everything and went, wait a minute, I'm a spiritual being. I can become larger than life. I can become larger than my circumstances. I can look at the little TV box that's causing me to have fear and anxiety, and then turn and look at the world outside that's causing me to have inspiration. So, I can change and define and decide where I'm going to have my direction. And from that, I had a moment of deep prayer. I was raised by my grandparents, and
Okay.
in 2019, just before 2020, I went over to Sydney on the east coast of Australia and spent time with my grandparents as my grandfather passed away, and he was like a father figure to me. Held his hand as he took his final breaths, and he passed on, and I was there in that moment, and then I was back on the west side, and I was, this 2020 COVID was happening, and then I also had this existential crisis, or this, what's the meaning of my life? I was in this deep prayer, said, "God, Jesus, energy source, ether, whoever it may be, whoever's out there
Yeah.
ready to help me, please show me what I'm supposed to be doing on my life. I don't want to be bumbling around for the next 30 years. I don't want to be, just coasting along and just consuming. I want to be doing something that has a greater meaning." And then all of a sudden, I saw this book come out the left corner of my eye, and it was the book that I wrote. It had a photo of me when I first came to Australia from South Africa. It
Okay.
had the words on it, "Decide your destiny." Um, and then I heard in my ear something say, "Share your story." So it was a real surreal, spooky sort of moment.
Correct.
And um, yeah, and I was spooked out. But "Decide Your Destiny" was something it took me back to a memory 8 years earlier, something my grandfather said to me as I was finishing my school. We were sitting on the couch in his lounge room, and he was an architect. So he designed this lounge room, he designed the house, and the light was coming in through the window. It was kissing the side of his face. He had this big boyish grin, and he said, "Decide your destiny." And he just turned to me. We weren't talking about anything,
Wow.
and I said, "What are you saying, Clivey?" And he said, "Decide your destiny." I said, "What are you talking about, matey?" He said, "Make sure that whatever you do in your life, that you decide your destiny." And at that age of 18, it went in one ear, went out the other, and then
Yeah,
8 years
yeah,
later,
yeah.
I remembered it. And then I had to, as Steve Jobs says, join the dots looking back. I had to join the dots looking back and work out, when did I decide my destiny? Who helped me decide my destiny? What does deciding your destiny mean? How have other people decided their destiny? And basically created a practical book that people can take, do exercises at the end of every chapter, and go out and decide their destiny in each and every part of their life.
Perfect, man. You are a great storyteller. Actually, I was able to visualize what we were trying to say. So yeah, you are
Oh,
a great
awesome.
storyteller, man. Yeah, I must say. Also, I can relate to
Thank you.
this thing because when you said that, I can say, I want to add in this thing that there are some things that are out of our control, but there are some things that are in our control. So many young people, they are stuck in the life. You said as per the situations in the COVID 2020, 2019. After the 2020, the scenario has changed. The job market, the business market has shifted like dramatically. So what are your views or
Yeah.
what are your, yeah, points to the young people who are stuck in their career? What should they decide? Like what career they should choose? Like according to their personality, what should they do? Like, if they are stuck in their career?
I love this question, and and I love thinking about supporting and communicating about the youth, the next generation, because we often hear from the previous generations all the complaints about the young
Yeah,
generation, but we don't understand that the previous generations created the younger generation. So,
yeah, that's right.
I love what you're doing. I love the Youth Expedition podcast. So, these sorts of things are so important, and communicating about this. Personally, I've recently changed careers, got offered a job, got basically headhunted for a job that had a better sort of future and better opportunity, and allowed me to kind of move into more of the role of being the person who is out there marketing, selling, communicating, creating relationships, nurturing relationships. And it was something internally that I really wanted. In my previous job, I was focused on you know, building the relationship, building the business opportunity, converting the business. So, the three things in the business: lead, get a lead, convert a lead, and then deliver a business. That's basically what business is, those three things. So get a lead, convert the lead, and deliver the product, for the money.
Correct.
And so that's basically, if we can break it down. And so for me, I was doing all three. And I preferred the first thing of getting, and then maybe a bit of converting. But the delivery cycle of my business was taking up so much time, so much energy, so much work. And it was almost going, well, why have your own business if you aren't able to do number one and number two enough? Because number one and number two allow you to scale. So I got offered this job. And basically what it was is the reason I got headhunted for this job was because of I was emailing the client back at 10 p.m. at night. I was getting back to them. I was answering their questions. I was going over and above. And they called me in and said, "Thank you for providing this TV commercial, that you've created for me. Have you ever thought of a job in this career?" And so that's basically what I worked on, was the value that I could provide. So a lot of people are stuck in, what do I do? What do I want to do? What's going to be my passion for the rest of my life? I think one of the most important things is, what am I going to give? What am I going to offer? If somebody hires me, what are they getting? Are they getting
Yeah,
problems? Are they getting someone that's going to show up late? Are they getting, what they think of a youngster, which is they're going to be passionate about this job, and 2 months later, they're going to not be interested and go find another job. So, when you're looking for it, yes, what you're going to do, think about it. Are newspapers and TV going to be around in the future as much as the internet and those sorts of things? Maybe not. Maybe you don't want to go in a market that is dying, of course. But try and gear yourself up to a market that is growing. Try and gear yourself up into skills that are going to help people in the future. And you need to be able to do a job, but also, what value are you going to provide? Because I feel like the future worker is going to be someone who is multi-dimensional, multi-talented, can do many things, can spin many plates, and is able to offer solutions. And the reason why they stay in that job and get promoted and get more money is because they offer more value and more solutions to the problems that the business owner has.
Actually, I read a book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I am sure you are also
Yes.
read about or heard about it.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
clarity is very important in any field of life. For example, when you do a business, as you said, that clarity for customers. So, what is mean by clarity for customers? For example, let's say pricing, as you said, that there are some products.
Yeah.
Okay, there are some economical products that you sell for the like middle class or maybe the middle people, and the second
Yes.
type of product that is for premium category. So that is clarity for customers. That
Yes.
is which product is right for me. Okay. Second
Yeah.
type of clarity that we need in life, that is for our execution of our like plans. Yeah, execution of our plans.
Yeah.
So let's say in the book it is written that if you want to earn like for example $1 million or like $1 billion, you have to write the exact amount and then figure out how it will be and when you want this money to be achieved. So this is the importance
Yes.
of
Yep.
clarity in life. And actually, if you are not able to achieve 1 million, you will at least achieve $50,000 in some particular period of
Yep.
time. So
Yep.
when you talk about the business coach, like I'm also interested in this, how to choose right mentors in your life? That is my question. Because what happens like in market, there are multiple people are roaming around. That okay, you join our course, you take this. I am the business
Yeah.
coach. I am a life coach. Some people claim to be like that. So how to find the right
A lot of
mentor?
charlatans. Yeah.
Yeah. How to find the right mentors in life?
So I think probably the number one thing to look at if you got them in person, you can have a look at their temperament. You know, how do they carry themselves when you meet them, when you sit down with them, when they have a conversation? You know, are they flustered? Are they um, throwing things everywhere like a magician? You know, what's their temperament? How do they actually move through life? You know,
Okay.
um, and I think another big thing is you want to look at their life. What have they created in their life? Do they have? And sometimes you might take something from, say someone in business, and you go, wow, like I've got a mentor in real estate, in business, and they're someone local, and they help me out, and they like help me understand things, but I also know other things about maybe their personal life, and then I might go, okay, I don't necessarily want to follow it in that area, or I might have someone who's got a brilliant family life and a brilliant, but any sort of business project they start ends up falling over. So you can just take a piece from someone and go, I'll have a bit of that. It's like when you're shopping, I
Yeah.
want a bit of that. I want a bit of that. I want a bit of that. But anytime that person who's got a beautiful family life and created all the treasures in their family life, anytime, and they've got a terrible business life, anytime they talk about business, that's when you kind of shut off. You realize, all right, I can listen, I can be polite, but I'm not going to take on any of their advice because
Okay.
they're not fulfilling it in their life. And also, I think you can also find people that you don't need to always go for the top, because I've gotten inspired from people younger than me that I've mentored, and I have helped them along their journey, and they taught me things because they're going somewhere. Sometimes you might get someone who is at the top of the top, and they might tell you, just slow down, take it easy. I had a mentor who was like that, and he was just very relaxed, and I was like, and I thought in my head, but when you
Yeah.
were at the bottom, you weren't relaxing and taking it
Yeah.
easy and having a balanced
Correct.
week. You were gunning and going for it. So, you've got to really, really, like a scientist, like dissect the information, dissect the person, dissect, what is the outcome of the information? This person, they're telling me to take my weekends off, but they're already a multimillionaire. What were they doing when they started? So I asked
Yeah.
them, okay, can I ask you, when you were starting out, how much did you work? Oh my God, I can't remember. I think it was all the time, every day, every night. Um, so you really need to investigate the information that you're getting from the person, and also their temperament, because I think we communicate so many things through our words, but our energy, we might not say everything right. We might not have the right pause everywhere, but our energy, if you can feel someone's energy and go, this is someone that I want to be around, they're going the positive route in life. I want to be around this person. This other person is sucking me down. I want to kind of avoid that person.
All right. So, as I can see, if we summarize this thing, first of all, you have to look at their history. Has they created
Yeah.
something that impacted people's life? Has they created
Yes.
something that has created some value? Second,
Yep.
this something which we call like okay, that is practical or logical. Second, as you said,
Yes.
that emotionally or psychologically, are you being able to connect with them? That is also important. So, and
Yeah.
their willingness to spend time with you, that is also important. So, I think these two things we have to see carefully and choose mentors for you, because in the market many people are roaming around, but we have to choose who is right for us. That is also important.
You want someone who is almost has that child undefeatable nature. Like
Okay.
they're going to find the solution no matter what, they can figure it out. That sort of someone, who's just with problems, they're energized. They're,
Yeah.
how can I solve this? How can I fix this? How can we'll work it out? Those people, not blind to kind of beat like beat something that's not going to keep working. Know when to kind of reassess and move the strategy, but someone who's strong and who has that ability to go, you know, like in their own life, they figure out things, they figure out ways,
Yeah.
they do things that kind of inspire you, and you go, wow, how did they do that? How did they make it out of that situation? In their story, how did they overcome that adversity? Those are the kind of people that you can go, yep, you're going to mentor me in the right way.
The problem solving approach. That is the main gist of this thing. The problem solvers
Yes.
are the creators. That is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Also, you said that like if we talk about God, so I want to ask you, do you believe in God? And if you believe that, what are some of your experiences that you can share with with our audience?
Yeah, so I had when I first came to South Africa, first Australia from South Africa. My mother was an international model. She was traveling around the world. She was on sets with like the likes of Charlize Theron. So on these big kind of modeling sets, traveling the world, and then she came to Australia. She met someone in Australia, and then it created an opportunity for us to move out of South Africa and move to Australia. And so um, through this person she met, I became a part of this Australian family. And then that's how I got assimilated into an Australian family. And eventually, when I was a teenager, I moved and lived in with my Australian grandparents. However, when I first came to Australia, my grandmother, my Australian grandmother, so no relation, but my step grandmother, she she said she had this overwhelming feeling of this message of God saying that she was going to be important in my life. And then 14 years later, I was on the streets, had nowhere to go, had nowhere to go. And I went and knocked on my grandparents' window in the middle of the night, and they welcomed me in and they raised me. And so she had that message just from the first moment she saw me, our eyes connected as I was walking up the stairs as a 2-year-old, that she was going to be important in my life. And been the closest person. She passed away last year, but she's been the closest person in my life. And so that strong connection. And then my grandfather, when he was passing away that week, we basically got him a hospital bed to pass away in his home that he created. And he was coming in and out of consciousness. And then my his son, my stepfather Ward, said, "What do you see, Clivey?" And my grandfather Clivey said, "Jesus." And then we all walked around his bed, and we went, "Wow." We said, and so my stepfather said, "What does he look like?" And then my grandfather said, "He's standing by the river with a boat for me." And we're like, "Wow," because he's nearing the end of his life. And he said, "But what does he look like?" And he said, "Love." And he had this big boyish grin on his face. And, those were moments where I kind of had other people who had connected. And my grandparents were the most saintly, most good, not necessarily religious, not necessarily pushing their religion or their beliefs or their ideologies or their opinions on you, but they had God, they had a higher belief that flowed through them. They had a strong faith, and they welcomed over 150 different families to live in their home throughout their life at different points. Families from overseas, international, from the middle of Australia, exchange students. They welcomed, other family members who the bank took their home. So all these sorts of things. So They welcome lots of people, and they just are people that I can't see any other people on this planet that were like them, you know, and they had that strong God faith, that strong Jesus faith. And so for me, through them, I've just naturally got this higher belief, you know, this higher belief. And so for me, I wouldn't say it's a indoctrinated, or it's I don't believe in science, or I don't believe in other things. It's a balanced approach, but I believe if you're going to be on this planet and you don't have faith in something higher, you don't have faith in a bigger mission, you don't have faith in serving and being of service, um, you know, I think it becomes very hard, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens on this planet every day.
Wow, very inspirational. Even after listening to this, I am also willing to like read your book. So if someone wants to purchase your book, how can they purchase? Like, what is the source?
Yeah, so it's on Amazon, and you can get it in India. You can get it in around the world through Amazon. It's in four editions. So there's an ebook, there's a hardcover, there's a paperback cover, and there's an audio book. So it's on Audible, it's on Spotify, and it's also on my website, kylespyrides.com. So KYLESPYRIDES.com. And yeah, I think it's on Spotify and 40 other different audiobook sites as well, if you want to listen to it.
Wow, that's great. Okay, so that's all from my side, Mr. Kyle Spyrides. Also, if we will do some more podcasts in the future, definitely on some other
Yes,
topics which can benefit our youth and our audience. So that's all
I'd
from my
love to.
side.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'd love to come on the youth expedition again, and I love the mission that you're doing. So just keep on, and we need voices like yours in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.